Okay, just a gentle reminder to everyone who's on the committee, actually everyone in this case, if you could have your video on so people can see that you're here, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, I'll start, Yolanda.
All right, thank you, Barb. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 4:32 of the Ad Hoc Citizens Committee relative to the renaming of Falk Elementary School. Our first order of business this evening is to approve our minutes from our November 4th meeting. I am assuming everybody um, has access to those, has retrieved them from the board docs website. Is that correct? Everybody good? Okay. So we can take just a couple minutes for folks to read over those. Everybody good? Okay. So I move that the minutes from the Falk Renaming Ad Hoc Committee dated November 4th, 2020 be approved. Is there a second? All right, it has been moved and properly seconded by Erica. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Seeing none, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will next we'll move on to the next item of our agenda, which is to just review the charge statement, timeline, and procedural rules and guidelines. And I think the MMSD staff did a good job last week of kind of going over all of that for us. And you do have those materials available to you on board docs. But just a reminder for tonight's meeting is really for us to review all of the proposals that have come forth regarding the renaming of Falk Elementary School and to make a decision on the name that we want to put forth for the board to consider. Any questions regarding any of those documents, the timeline, guidelines, any of that information that has been provided to us?
Yolanda, I apologize for not being able to be here at the last meeting.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Hi,
Hey, when I looked over what was on board docs, it looks like what was attached for Malele's proposal was the PowerPoint and not the actual proposal. So I just want to make sure that when we're like giving that one its rubric grading, that we're using the information that's included in the actual physical proposal and not just the like boiled down PowerPoint.
That is an excellent point, and I'm going to defer to someone from MMSD staff to speak to that.
So the information presented was the actual proposal and not from the PowerPoint. So
Well,
what you at?
Well, I'm glad Sarah brought that up because the only thing I saw, I downloaded was a copy of PowerPoint and I was like, whoa, when I read it, and I was like, I don't get it. But yeah, I mean, and I thought that what we had was it.
Okay, I'm a little slightly confused about that. I'm going to go in the background here for a moment and I will come back to you. One moment. But you can move ahead. I'll check on that. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just thanking Sarah for lifting that. Go ahead, Yolanda.
And Barb, I will reshare that with you right now. And I apologize. I also had not caught that last week. So I will reshare that with you right now.
Okay, Adam, I'll upload it now then. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing that up. So the next, Barb, is it okay to move on to the next item on the agenda?
Yes, thank you.
So the next item is just to review the public comments. You all should have received those today. Barb, did you send those out?
I did, yes.
So they're 22 pages. I took the liberty of going through and starring the ones that specifically named the three names that we are considering this evening. And I think my math is almost 100% right, but it looks like we have about 67 out of the all of the public comments that were submitted. 67 specifically named Malele Chikasanana, 2 specifically named Dolores Sims Greens and Green Sims, and then 2 specifically named John Lewis. And then there were a few that named other people who were not officially recommended or nominated.
Chairperson, can I first say that there's an email from Gloria Hawkins saying that she's having a hard time getting in?
Okay. Barb, are you?
Yes, I will try to address that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Not that it matters, but I have 3 people for John Lewis.
Okay. See, I said it might be almost.
No, that's okay. I have Alexander, Dennis, and Leanne for John Lewis. But yeah, and about 6, yeah. But you were right about and then I have 3 for Dolores. I have Lori, Sarah. Oh, 4. Lori, Sarah, Kelly, and Katie. That's what I have for. But yeah, majority, of course, are for Malele.
Yeah. Thank you, Erica, for that. So I don't know if everyone has had a chance to kind of read through. So I thought maybe we could just take a few minutes now for people to do that. Has everybody had a chance to read through, or are we okay with just taking a few minutes to kind of read through? Thumbs up, yes.
I have a question. Based on, I read through all 22 pages of them. My question is that are we consider the other names that people submitted? Because I didn't give them a thought in that regards, because they were not a proposal. They were just comments as far as I was concerned.
Right. Yep. You're
okay.
Correct. Yep. So we're only considering those that we're for the proposals that we're reviewing tonight. Does anybody want to have time right now to read through, or do we feel good? I saw some.
I haven't looked at them yet.
Okay.
We can go on if you want, but I haven't had a chance to see those yet.
Is there anybody else who hasn't had a chance to? That wants to? Okay. Kara, do you want to take a few minutes now, or are you okay with us moving forward? I don't want you to feel like
we can move forward.
Okay. So next then on our agenda is to talk about the proposals. I thought what we could do is to start by just looking over the rubric, and identifying first if everyone meets the criteria first. And if there are ones that we feel do not meet the criteria, then we would not move forward in considering them for the renaming of Falk Elementary. So the first rubric that we can go over is John Lewis.
Hold on, let me just flip all my pages. Hold on. We're going to if the proposed name, so there's 2 pieces, right? There's 2 squares that we had to do for
so they're on the first page of the rubric. We have the second square, and I'll just read them out for everybody.
Yep.
Madison Metropolitan. Oh,
or Chair, I'm sorry. Would it be, Barb, can you put it up so that people can see it in a screen share?
Just one moment.
Oh, yeah, that would
Which
be,
one do you want up, the John Lewis proposal?
the rubric.
For Mr. Lewis, okay.
Yep.
Okay, are you able to see my screen?
We can see it. Barb, can you make it just a little bigger?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So you'll see on the screen there that the first section of the rubric is not applicable, and the second and the third are applicable. And then as we move down, that third one there is applicable, and the last two are not. So those are the only ones that we need to consider for each of the proposals. And again, I will look to Carletra or Barb for more direction on this, but is it if a proposal does not meet the criteria in any one of those areas that they are not moving forward, or is it they have to meet, if they meet a criteria at all, then they move forward?
They have to meet the criteria in those areas as identified there. So in all of those areas to be considered to move on. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So to the committee, was there for the John Lewis proposals and in your rubric, was there any area where you identified that he did not meet the criteria, or this proposal did not meet the criteria?
So I would like to address that first. First, for Muriel Sims' proposal, I would say he did not meet the criteria for either prominent or for if the proposed name is prominent, local, national, specifically to MMSD. First, she did not define prominent to me. She named some things that he had done. I know that she mentioned that he had gotten the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but really she didn't explain why. There was nothing really that made him prominent in hers. And also too, he didn't do specifically anything to Madison MMSD, really. So I would say for Muriel Sims, she did not check off any of the boxes. So for her, I would completely reject her proposal. For Dennis McGillen, is that McGillen? Is that what his name is?
McGilligan, correct.
I would say that for prominent, it exceeds the criteria. He really talks about his work in Congress, how well known and prominent he is. However, again, the proposal does not meet the criteria, in my opinion, for any work that he has done for MMSD. So I would say he does not meet the criteria.
All right, thank you, Erica. Anybody else want to share their?
Hi, this is Theola. I actually said he met the criteria on both of them, even though she did. Miss Miriam didn't explicitly say use the word prominent and stuff like that. That it was implied. I don't think I had an issue with hers is that it didn't give us a specific enough of information. It was more opinion. To my opinion. But the Mr. Dennis's was a little bit more in detail about his work and the things that he has done. Now, what did he directly come to Madison and do something in Madison? Absolutely not. But his work is applicable to all of Wisconsin and just not Madison's Metropolitan School District for the things that he done from the sit-ins to the March on Washington and the foundation of SNCC and things of that nature. So I would say he would meet the definition of prominence in both of them, although one was a little bit more explicit and detailed in what of some of the things that he did.
Thank you, Theola. Anyone else?
I would say that I remained sort of on the fence about the MMSD connection. I think John Lewis is obviously a nationally prominent figure, and I was sort of drawing my own conclusions about why I feel like he is relevant or important to MMSD and our students and families. So I ended up deciding that he didn't meet the criteria there, but I also, in thinking about the values that Falk had identified and our community members had identified, he very strongly fits every single one of those values.
So you felt that he met the criteria in some aspect.
Yeah, I'd give him like a 0.5.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? Okay. Are we comfortable with moving on to the next proposal?
Yes.
Okay. So next up is Dolores Sims Green. And again, do we feel that this proposal meets the criteria? And I will open it up for folks to share their thoughts.
I read it. I like the other ones. It just was, I was looking for more in the proposal, if that makes any sense, to explain to me, no doubt she's eligible in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Unfortunately, I didn't really know the person or some of the things that she did. And I'm quite sure she was one of those pioneers that did things before I even got here or probably even was born. I just didn't get a sense of her and her contributions a little bit more. It would have been nice if it had been, a little bit more, even if it was dot pointed of the things that she did and how it helped education in the city of Madison, what she, what she did. I do get the point that I understand what Mr. Falk said to her when she went for an interview. And then because it led to the question, was she the individual who ended up being the first African-American being hired in the Madison School District? I just didn't know. I didn't know.
I would say that she is really considered prominent and widely known. I don't think maybe nationwide, but she is published in things. She's a published writer and poet. She has been featured in books. She's done a lot of work, around the state. She's worked with a lot of people. And I think that, just because maybe I haven't heard her name before now doesn't really mean that she's not really prominent or widely known. So I think that she does meet that criteria. I don't really feel like it has to be a big national figure. So I do feel like she met that. And then as for the MMSD, when I kind of think of that criteria, I guess I'm really, really thinking about MMSD, like who is really like attached to MMSD. And I think she most definitely exceeds that. She graduated from here, and a lot of the things she's done has really impacted MMSD. So I think she met that criteria too.
Yeah, I agree that she meets all of the criteria. In addition, to the Falk values, there were several of them that she would meet the criteria for as well.
I agree also. And I did meet her, have an opportunity to meet her and to know her. And I know that she did a significant amount of work in MMSD. I don't know how well known she was known throughout the state at a level below the school system.
Any other thoughts or comments to share? I say I think she meets the criteria as well. But to Theola's point, I was hoping for a little bit more depth in the proposal and some examples, specific examples of how she, because it sounds like she's certainly has a foundation in Madison and has been a pioneer in education in this area, but I was looking for a little bit more specific examples of what that work looked like. But she definitely meets the criteria, in my opinion.
Right, Chairwoman, and I would agree with you. The only reason I said that it was because, you know, I was not familiar with her, but I could, based on what was said, say, okay, yes, she did do something. But for a person who don't know, it's like when I look at it when I'm grading things of what you present in front of me, not what I know from that, I know what I know about the person. So I'm, as a person who's a policy analyst, only thing I'm going by is what I have in front of me. So, and so that's why I was saying it would have been nice to have some more examples of how she impacted the Madison Metropolitan School District. I have no doubt that she did, but I, for somebody who didn't really know her or didn't, you know, just picking it up and saying, I would be like, okay, but what was, give me some more significance related to the MMSD in that regard. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
I agree with Viola.
Yeah.
Yeah, the proposal left something to be lacking. I mean, it left something to be desired.
Agreed. But we all can agree that the proposal itself met some of the criteria in one way or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we good? Moving on to the next. All right.
Are we going to get a copy of the proposal itself? Evidently.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And so, and then with that being said, I would need a few minutes to
Yep.
cruise through it.
Yes. Thank you for that reminder. Barb, are we?
Yes, it's there. It's been added. I'm showing it right now. This document was part of the information that was posted to the website. And this has been part of the documents that this committee has had in the past. I apologize for not getting it out here this time. You're right.
So Barb, what we see right now is like a calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Update. Yep, no problem.
Here we are.
Are you able to blow that up a little bit, Barb?
Yes.
And then for the committee, if you all, we can take a few moments to read through. And when you all are ready, if you could do a reaction, thumbs up, so I know that we can open it up for discussion. So that is the end of the proposal. Does anybody need Barb to scroll back to another section to reread or anything? All right, hearing none, then I'll open it up for discussion in regards to this proposal. No discussion?
I was gonna say, I think that she meets all the criteria on
Right.
there. It's that simple. And no need for me to go into some elaborate pontification of things that you have already read yourself.
Yeah, I would also agree. I feel she meets all the criteria. She exceeds it. No need to go into further discussion.
Not only that, she touched every area of the community at all levels, business, state government, civil rights, education, publication. She's done it all.
And I think too, in addition to that, there were a lot of community members who signed that, and there were a lot of people who spoke on the thing. So I think, in addition to this committee, we also need to take into consideration what the public has said about her, which I think speaks just as strongly as what we are saying here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are several pages of additional comments that are not attached to that document.
Yep, 22 pages of comments, and over 60 of them were in favor of this proposal. Any other thoughts or comments?
I would just add, Yolanda, that she really strongly fits all of the criteria that were identified by the Falk community.
Agreed. Is it safe to assume then, or to say that this would be the proposal that we would want to put forth to the board for further consideration?
It's my favorite one.
And do you need a motion?
I am making it right now.
Okay.
I move that the Ad Hoc Citizens Committee relative to the renaming Falk Elementary School, recommend to the Board of Education the name of Malele Chikasa Anana.
I will second that.
All right. Has been
thirded.
Just for a little discussion on that, because it's been moved and properly seconded. I would agree with naming it Miss Malele, after Miss Malele. I one being the real strong community ties that she had, being in Madison for a long time, and being able to be that example for or someone to look up to if you say, oh, what school you went to, learn about her, knowing that she was local and she was a local advocate would be, something for our young people to look up to in that regard. And perhaps at this generation, some of them may even know who she is. I'm going to reflect back to what Ms. Carol Falk said in her comment. She made a very elaborate comment about the name being changed from her dad to Malele, and she also supports it. I just want to, bring notice to that of what she said, and as it relates to her dad's participation in that they, her family had the opportunity of being a living legend at the time, and they were able to enjoy that, and she was okay with it moving on and for people to know about it in that regard. So in that regards, I'm just saying I am in favor of it becoming Malele because she is a local individual in the community. I would also say that if the school board should ever consider Oh, another thing about it is not only is she's local, but this would be another local person named for a school, because we have a school named after Reverend Wright. So now we would have a male example, and we would have a female, which I think is just wonderful.
Good point.
In that regard. And both being local, I'm gonna say local legends, okay, in that regard, or heroes and heroines, however you want to characterize it. I would hope that in the future, if there are other schools that need to be renamed, that the late Representative John Lewis may be considered for another school if we have a situation where, not that we can make this decision, but just putting it on the record, if we have a situation where we're thinking about renaming another school in the city, and perhaps that the school should look at all the names of schools to make sure that we don't have situations of schools being named after individuals who actually sort of, to some extent, even though at the time it was the culture and what was going on, who have impeded progress as it related to civil rights or said some disparaging things related to it. So that basically I am in favor, but I just want to give that around it.
Yolanda, this is Gloria.
Yes.
I was, I'm certainly in favor of this motion. Just want to point out that we actually this would be the 4th school named after a local African-American, because we do have Virginia Henderson and Velma Hamilton. So it's not just Reverend Wright, but there are others, but that does in no way changes my opinion of the rightness of this decision.
Thank you, Dr. Billings. I forgot about that.
Thank you. And I don't know if you all saw in one of the comments was a suggestion to rename Memorial High School. And so to your point, Ms. Viola, perhaps if the district is looking to do more future renamings, that they will consider John Lewis or other prominent figures who for the renaming of those schools. So thank you for bringing that up.
I think John Lewis would be a great name for a high school.
I agree.
Than an elementary school.
All right, so we have a motion to recommend.
Yolanda, I'm sorry to interrupt. Mr. Scott is just joining now.
Okay.
So, I wanted to make sure that he could be part of the action.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll just give him a moment to connect to his audio.
Hello, Mr. Scott, are you able to turn on your video, please? There we go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Scott. Welcome. Want to bring you up to speed because we are almost near to the end here, but we have went through and reviewed the proposals and the public comments, and we have a motion to recommend to the Board of Education that the name of Miss Malele Chikasa Anana be the name forward for their consideration. We are in the moment of discussion before we take up that vote. And since you are joining us, wanted to give you a moment if you had something you wanted to share before we vote. You're on mute.
There we go. How's that?
Good.
Thank you very much. Again, I apologize for not being here at the time. I was just at another meeting and had to rush across town to get back here. But in terms of what I'm thinking and my thoughts is obviously I've held Malele Chikasa Anana dearly in my heart, especially in terms of what she's done for the community here in Madison, as well as what she's done around the country. So I am fully, supportive of using Malele Chikasa Anana's name for the renaming of the Falk Elementary School.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem. All right, so we have a motion before us. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing and seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you all for your input and time. And so in terms of next steps, the next meeting will be a public hearing on the recommendation, which will take place on Monday, November 30th. I will be there to represent our committee, but am wanting and hoping that, and Barb and Carlette should help me out. Is there a certain number that from the committee that can come, or can anybody?
Okay, so this is actually this committee who will be holding that public hearing.
Oh,
Right, so then we
Okay.
go to the board after that in December.
okay. All right. So we will be having a public hearing on this recommendation on November 30th.
And time, please.
Time for that, Barb,
4:30.
at 4:30.
Yes.
And is that also at the school administration building?
No,
That is
that
that
will be virtual.
school
I think it's
administration.
virtual.
Is it gonna be virtual? I would hope it's gonna
Yes.
be virtual.
Yes,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's at the Zoom school administration building.
great.
I was gonna say the COVID numbers are going up. So.
No.
It's the same place they've been holding all of their meetings.
Yeah. And so I guess we all, if we're available, will want to attend so that we can share our thoughts on the recommendation. And then on Monday, December 7th, there will be a Board of Education Instruction Work Group meeting where I will report and present the recommendation to that work group. And then the Board of Education's regular meeting on Monday, December 14th, is where they will vote on our committee's recommendation. So
what happens if they reject it? I'm just curious, not saying I'm not anticipating it, but I'm all about policy and procedures and knowing what's what.
Miss
It would then come back to this committee.
Oh, okie dokie.
And then Barb, could you just give us a sense of what to expect on the 30th? Will the public comment, will that be addressed towards the team to respond in time? How will that look?
Addressed to the team to respond in
Like,
time.
will people be, signing on and posing questions directly to this group?
Exactly. Yes.
To then respond? Okay.
Yes, they will be live in this virtual meeting. Correct.
Question, is there going to be just one spokesperson for the group that responds to those questions, or is the public able to say, oh, Theola, I want you to tell me your thoughts on it, or Kara, what were you thinking? What about you there, Carlatra? And or is it just to the committee and then there's the one person who speaks for it?
Generally, it is a public hearing, Theola, so it's not a dialogue. It's really them being able to make a statement to you.
Okay. And no response required, right? Just
That's
listen.
correct. That is
okay,
correct.
I could work with that too. That works for me.
Now, is it helpful that people come and come and talk? I'm not really quite sure.
The idea is to make sure that we are complying with policy. So once the recommendation is made by this committee, public has another chance to respond. And that's about it. So if people want to come, they can. If they don't, then we will assume that they are in agreement with your recommendation.
Okay, so this is like if they're not in agreement, not like if they want to come show support.
They could also do that. Oh, yes, very much so, yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to I didn't know if it was like, oh, come show your support so we could go back to the board. I wasn't quite sure what we were doing with
Of course, yes.
meeting. Okay.
So will we be able to be seen at that time, or will the focus be on the audience?
You will be seen, most definitely. And we will have the person that is presenting one at a time so that you will be able to see them too.
So Barb, is this also going to be like simulcast to YouTube like they do the board meetings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bob, for that information.
Yes, I have a question. Is there going to be, is there a different Zoom code that we need to address before that meeting? Or are we using the same code that we use for this Zoom?
I will send out a brand new one for that meeting.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Right. Second. All right. Everyone else, a question or second? All right. Motion.
I second. Unfortunately, I had moved, but my thing was on mute.
Thank you all for the motion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye, bye.
All opposed,
Bye.
nay. Thank you all. Have a good evening, and I will see you on the 30th.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.